you're watching, make sure you check in on Facebook. All right, the recorders are all up running. Stream is activated. And I think I can hit record on here. Everyone, welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee, who is just digging out some stuff to talk about today. Of course, we really planned for this show. So how you doing, Rob?
Doing okay, Todd. It's another Saturday. These shows come around pretty fast these days, don't they?
Well,
in a couple days, and we're back at it again.
Now you know
I feel
what
like a journalist now, Todd.
Now you know what it feels like for me to do my Geek News Central show Monday, Thursday of every week, and then do this Wednesday, Saturday, and plus do a Podcast Insider on Thursday. I'm just like, whew.
Yeah.
Someone told me
You're a content machine.
Someone told me the other day I was doing these rants on Geek News Central, and I've been known for that in the past, and they said, well, just make a separate show that's just nothing but rants. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. But here's something you should not do. You should not eat something prior to the show. That is that little, you probably can't see that, Rob, but the audience can. What that is, a little
stain there, Todd?
That's a little, geez, I can't even put my fingers the right way when I'm looking at the monitor. That is a mayonnaise spot.
Oh my goodness.
I had a chicken breast sandwich with a little mayonnaise on it, and it glooped out on me, and I'm just like, you can't take me anywhere. So for those of you listening, you don't care.
Right.
But for those, everyone's eyes going to be drawn right to that. So anyway.
Yes, they are.
Hey, Rita, how are you?
I've been looking at it the whole time.
So, Rob, I think, looking at your lights, I think you need to figure out how to white balance your camera.
Yeah.
And, because I think what's happening is you've got the lights good,
right,
but now you're like really flushed out. Yeah.
I'm flushed out.
It looks like you just got done running 5 miles or something, or being at the gym or something else. So
I didn't eat enough, right?
Well, so I purposely tone myself. I'm probably redder than I would be on. Someone looks at me, direct, but I can change the tone here on the camera. But yeah, we'll get you there.
So I don't look tanned. Is that what you're saying, Todd?
No, you look flushed is what you look like.
Flushed?
Yeah, you look flushed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway, so hope everyone's doing well. We had a donation come in. I don't know if it was for this show or for another show.
You've been blending these shows together a little bit, I've noticed on your streams.
Yeah, so we did get a $25 donation. It came for either Geek News Central or New Media Show. Thank you. We appreciate the donation. I'll throw it in the New Media Show pot. It's like it, and with these extra shows, the streaming costs have went up quite a bit because I'm going over my hours on Wowza, and I get 10 hours included. Then I get whacked for every hour that I'm over, and so I've been well over every month now. So we'll throw it at the Wowza bill. So
yeah.
Anyway, so you heard? Where did you read that Pocket Cast got took down because of COVID?
I read it on Twitter. I got pulled into a thread on Twitter about the Podcast Addict getting taken down off the Google Play Store for having COVID-19 content or something related to that. There's not a lot of specific details. But it's something to do with content policies.
So here it is. Here's the picture.
Right.
Your app has been suspended.
Yeah. So if you go and do a search in Google for
Podcast
Addict, and you click on the Google Play link in the search results, it comes up with this URL requested was not found.
This is ridiculous because it's not their fault.
No, it's not. No. Podcast Addict doesn't create content.
They're a podcast app. So how do they
metadata? Right. Yep. It says some sort of policies, content related policies is what they say.
So if you're they say because you're not a government agency, you can't talk about COVID-19. So what we should do here, Rob, Rona, we're gonna start calling it Rona on the show here. We can't use the real word. So it looks to me then that herein lies the problem, ladies and gentlemen. We go back again. This is classic. Holy, if I'm Podcast Addict, I'm flipping out. But if you've got listeners on Podcast Addict, they can't get there. Do they take the app off the person's phone too?
I don't know. It's unclear what happens when it's disabled from being acquired or downloaded, whether or not the app stops functioning somehow. I don't know.
I don't know. That. So
I would think it would still keep functioning.
How can they be compliant? They are an aggregator of data.
Yeah. Well, I think that the policies are typically made in those platforms to look at an app as being kind of like a funnel of content that's owned by the app owner, right?
And not
so. It's almost like the terms of service that exists probably on the listening platforms,
and not 300,000 people. So all it probably took was one person didn't like someone's COVID-19 episode, reported the episode,
right,
and it got took down.
There's a lot of kind of conspiracy theories flying around. There's a lot of stuff going around. It's hard to know, that's what's probably behind all this stuff.
Oh, I'm sure, but here, and again, there's a lot of stuff that's legitimate that's being pulled down by these organizations as well. If you got two doctors talking about Rona,
right,
who are actual doctors, and then you have Bill Gates, who is not a virologist, and where the two doctors' videos are taken down and Bill Gates's isn't, then there's a problem there. So.
Oh, yeah.
So it's.
Does that mean that we don't really have any sources of independent, information that's going to be allowed by these platforms?
Well, no, these platforms are picking winners. They're picking winners and losers, and they're setting the narrative. And this is what I've been afraid of for all. And this doesn't have. This could have been anything. And I think people here's what people are starting to find out, and it really solidifies, because I would tell people, people are being deplatformed, and they would scoff at me. News organizations scoff at anyone that says I've been deplatformed. Oh, I've been shadow banned or whatever. And people would scoff at that and say that's a conspiracy theory. And finally, now granted, there's some stuff out there that are just, fruity tooty. But it just is a definite, this is just another thing here that podcasters need to realize, is that you better have a place you can call home. NewMediaShow.com.
Right.
And, we're talking about Rona in the aspects of media and how it's interacting here. But look, if Podcast Addict, one of the top podcast apps, can be taken offline because they had articles probably from legitimate sources, probably from people that were not legitimate sources talking crazy stuff,
right?
And they're protected under safe harbors. They're not going into their catalog. Excuse me, and we don't. If someone put up a Rona related post that was, coronavirus was caused by a man from Mars. If someone did that and posted that and it's had a serious byline for it, until someone reports it, I don't look at that. So.
Yeah. So Podcast Addict, when they posted to Twitter, this is the message that they posted. They said Google just suspended Podcast Addict again. So maybe this has happened before.
Wow.
This time we're having podcasts about COVID-19, and their comment is, are you for real, Google? Can you please check your own Google Podcast app, your search engine, and YouTube first before you start taking it on apps like this?
Right.
I do believe that they're doing that on YouTube, right? To some degree.
Oh yeah, they're taking stuff down on YouTube for sure.
And are they doing this in the Google Podcasts listening platform? I don't know.
Don't know.
Right? And is the search engine getting hit by this as well? I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true either. Maybe.
So this is a little bit selective enforcement of a content policy on
Nope. Someone on Podcast Addict has reported that app to Google for having some show. Someone's pissed off. I'm telling you, this is what's going on. I almost guarantee it. Someone's pissed off about a show. Some listener is outraged. Right. And they've reported that app as carrying false information. I would bet $100.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's where all this starts. The thing that kind of spun out of control with this is what I saw is that people not understanding kind of what's going on here started blaming Google Podcasts and Google Play.
It's because people don't understand.
Specifically. Now, granted, the Google Play apps is where this is living, so Google Play is certainly part of this, but the Google Podcast stuff has nothing to do with this.
Nothing to do with it.
Right. These are content policies that are related to the Android App Store.
So if Podcast Addict's been taken down, then all the Android apps should come down. All of them, because they have the same content.
Right.
So the reason I'm saying that this app has gotten removed is because somebody
specifically referred to Podcast Addict in this claim.
I'm sure. And
if they did that for any of the other listening apps, probably the same thing would happen.
To date, I've had no one submit a ticket at Blueberry to remove any show from Blueberry that's got any Rona-related content. I've had no takedown notices for any show on Blueberry. We did. Now, this is even more crazy. We did get another removal. Another show was removed from Spotify this week, just one. And for the life of us, we can't figure it out. We'll read the title of the episodes. I went to the episode. They had one reference to Rona in their show. I have no idea why the show was removed from Spotify. It's some automated bot has reacted on something. So,
yeah. Well, Todd, if you back up and you look at kind of the bigger picture of things with all this too, is I know that all these platforms and companies were called on the carpet in front of Congress in the last year. I mean, a lot of them, like Mark Zuckerberg and Google and Microsoft, whatever, had to go and testify in front of Congress about their controls on misinformation and stuff on their platforms. The whole Russia thing and all that stuff was all part of a big investigation on there. And I'm sure that this is probably part of that. These platforms are thinking, because the same thing is happening on Facebook, right?
Oh, it's happening. It's a sport right now.
They're feeling pressure to make a judgment on what is truth and what is misinformation, and to get rid of all of the misinformation, because we can't always tell really between whether or not this is attacked by some external country or organization or whatever it is putting out misinformation, right? Versus what is the truth. Those lines are blurred so much now, and these tech companies feel like they're being forced to get in the middle of this, right?
Well, I see every day now, people are like, read this quick, this is going to be taken down.
Right.
And sure enough, it's within an hour, it's taken down, and people are doing sport with it now. And actually, sometimes now people are messaging me on Messenger saying, hey, watch this. It's been taken down on Facebook, everywhere else.
And make a copy of it.
Right. And here's the thing. I had something sent to me yesterday. It was kind of long. It was like 11 minutes, and it was definitely political in nature.
Right.
And I don't normally get those types of posts from people, but someone sent me one. And I'm like, okay, it's not talking about Rona, it's political, and it was a little bit not parody. It was actual it was Republican and Democrats, people's spoken word.
Right.
It was Nancy and the president and and it was they did a montage. They put president saying something, Nancy saying something, Schumer saying something. So it was in a certain sense it was kind of funny.
Right.
That had been taken down because that didn't meet Facebook community guidelines. And to me, it was like, okay, so someone took the time to put this cool parody thing together that I kind of chuckled about. It wasn't a blasting the right or blasting the left. It was, both of them were taking heat, equal direction. Right. And yet it was taken down because of community standards. So, okay, so parody is parody now. We can't be funny no more. We can't make fun of politicians no more. Come on, that's sport, right? That's, comedians have made their living going and doing sport on parodies on politicians. So I think that they're so super sensitive right now, and people become so divided. If they don't like something in the slightest, they get so triggered that oh my God, my sensibilities have been upset, and they report something.
Well, I think what we're seeing here is kind of a lashback on this whole situation. Things have gotten so divisive and so extreme on both sides that even trying to eliminate content that perpetuates more division is getting taken down. Right. So in the effort of these tech platforms to bring people together by removing content that's divisive,
they're pissing them off more.
they're creating a whole nother divisiveness around us and them, right? So it's I don't, it's definitely a sign of the times.
So what they should have, here's what they should have. They should have r.facebook.com, d.facebook.com, i.facebook.com, and you just hang out with your group.
I think that's kind of what's already happening, Todd.
Well, to a certain extent.
These tech platforms are trying to say, well, we're not going to allow any of that to happen, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference really between misinformation and divisive information? Right?
But here's the problem. You have somebody that is making a determination what is misinformation. And that's the scary part. So let's go back to 1776.
Right.
All right. Let's go back to the founding of this country. So before we declared our independence, you really couldn't speak out against the crown. You couldn't have a voice without afraid of being locked up, right?
We declared a monarchy, which is different, right?
So we declared our independence. And ultimately from that came the Bill of Rights and everything. That came from successiveness of how America was established. But the simple fact of being able to have freedom of speech was a core fundamental of this country that made us very different than many other countries. Even today, you don't have freedom of speech in Iran or in China or some places like that. So because we've got freedom of speech, you can say anything.
We're finding out why, right?
Right. So here is where us as podcasters need to embrace this and understand that you can say whatever you want in a podcast. Now, use caution there because words have consequences. If you say something about someone, if you call them a name, or if you libel them, there is going to be potential legal retribution to you, and your reputation may be tarnished if you come out as a whack job or whatever. But you have the right to be as crazy as you want in your podcast, as long as you don't threaten somebody and all these things that most of us as service providers have in our terms of service. You have pretty free reign,
right?
And I think what we need to understand here is that it's great to have promotion on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, but it's their platform, their rules. They don't like you. They don't like your content. They're going to take you down. They're going to devoice you. They're going to make you less authoritative. Your stuff will not be seen. Now, the same thing may happen to your website.
But Todd, let's address the elephant in the room here. And is this government censorship, or is this just private enterprise?
No, what this is, I think,
to take control based on their terms of service.
I think it's a combination of everything. I think it's a combination of the government not wanting this information out about COVID-19, maybe, or Corona. I think it's them trying.
These tech companies feel threatened by that position that the government
I don't know. I don't know if they feel threatened by it, because I don't know. I don't think so.
Or are they scared that they're going to lose users if they let things get out of hand?
I think they're worried about someone dying for doing something that was posted on their platform.
Right. And then being held accountable for it.
You know, I'm sure it's a whole plethora of that stuff.
Right.
You know, and they're not put in. I wouldn't want to have to be in the position to have to make the decisions of what is removed or pulled down. And
Todd, you and I have been put in those positions.
Well, I have.
I know I have too.
Well, Todd hasn't. Todd turns over to the lawyer and say, "Okay, give me a ruling on this." We base our removals of content based on our terms of service and the legal opinion I have from my counsel. Because here's what you have to do, and this is hard.
I'm the one that got the phone call from Spotify around Alex Jones. So that was a tough situation to be in.
Well, you get the call, but you turn it over to your staff. Someone on your team, someone on your staff determines.
Well, it was a group. It was a group thing, right?
Okay.
It wasn't just me deciding something, but it was the leadership of the company, Spreaker, at the time.
So for us, I turn that over to my legal counsel. He listens to it and he makes the legal determination. Was that hate speech? Were they trying to threaten someone? And it goes on and on and on.
Right.
And then he tells me, and and I don't argue, because we can attach emotion to content, and emotion is not what you need. You need a legal. Yeah. And you trust your lawyer, your legal counsel, to say, yep, that was explicitly outside our terms of service. It's got to go. And it's not just Alex Jones. We've had other instances too. White supremacists. Some of that to me was very, very easy. To me, I was just like, you know what? I still, in my mind, I'm saying it's got to go. But I said, nope, we got to process, turn over to legal. He comes back to me in a half hour and says, yep, pull it. And I already in my mind knew I wanted to pull it, but I wanted to make sure that from a legal standpoint, from my lawyer, I knew where we were at. So there's millions of these being posted every day on Facebook. So they can't go to the lawyer every time. They've given their staff, here's the criteria,
right?
Make the call, and hell be damned. And it's probably the same thing with the Google Play Store in this.
Yeah.
So it goes. It's still fundamentally, it goes back to gotta own your radio transmitter.
I mean, just to give you an example here, I was just mentioning Alex Jones, and here I think it was in the last month or so, I watched a video of him, and he was claiming that he's ready to start eating his neighbors.
That's a level.
Literally stringing up his neighbors.
That's a level of absurdity. But come on,
right? Yeah. And I thought to myself, that content right there would definitely violate everybody's terms of service, right? Claiming to be a cannibal. Right.
But okay, so come on now. That's not. But at the
He
same
was being
point,
serious, though. That's the thing.
I've heard some comedians be pretty serious too in some of the things they've said. So where, does he? Maybe when he again, I don't listen to the.
I have to admit, I certainly laughed at him. I mean, he's definitely an entertainer.
I don't listen to his.
Kind of cross the content line. I don't think you want to start being, propagating that you're going to eat your neighbor, because things are going to get so bad with this coronavirus thing that you have to be prepared to do what you need to do.
I don't know what the context of him making that point was, but at least I would hope he would have said that at the end. Now, let's be honest, folks. I'm not going to eat my neighbor, but but obviously,
fire my barbecue.
But obviously, he didn't, right? So, my God, So you gotta. But here's the thing: he's still on the air. He's still got a show.
He is. Yeah, he's not on Spotify anymore.
No, but and probably most of his audience is not on Spotify anyway, right? So
right, that's true.
So, but at the same time, now we have to really look at this seriously. And for me, this is good. All this controversy going on Facebook, Twitter, Google Play Store now. I hope that it gives podcasters some perspective of why. And again, you might be doing a crocheting show and never ever run up against any community guidelines because she used the wrong yarn, or he was using the wrong latch hook, or whatever it may have been, right? And again, if for people that do crocheting, I'm not trying to be like down on you guys. I'm just using that as an example because I'll get hate email for saying what I just said. But it's someone could say, "Oh, that's a travesty to mankind that they have done the wrong knot," and I'm going to report this.
Right.
So all it takes though is a small minority of people to be pissed off with your content. 1% to be pissed off at your content to cause your content to be removed from a platform.
Right.
99% of your audience might be very happy, having a good time, love you, donating, doing your Patreon. It takes 1% to get you deplatformed off stuff. One thing you may say so that's why I even do in my tech show. I'm like, you have to be careful in how you place your words and follow that up with like, that was an example, or this, I'm just joking, or just so because people will take just this much,
right,
and it will have pissed them off so bad that they'll report you. Now,
I mean, Todd, it was just like me mentioning this thing about Alex Jones. If people cut out the first part, about, this is what Alex Jones said,
right,
and they just play my part of saying I'm prepared to eat my neighbors, then I could be portrayed as being
a cannibal,
be taken down too. This whole show could be taken down.
That's right. So you cannibal, you. But right. I think though we've also got to the point, and it's been this way for a while, is that people just can't unsubscribe. They get so pissed off, and I don't know. It's a sad state where we're at, where we can't debate and have a healthy conversation. So I hope in your podcast you're able to have a healthy conversation with your audience. I think that's why I love podcasting as much as I do. I really was.
Because I think that exists over here more than really anywhere else.
But 2 or 3 shows ago, I was just like, listen, I've just got to say what I got to say,
right.
And I went off, and it was really, and you look at Elon Musk. What did he do? He said in California, "Screw you! I'm opening my plants. You don't like it? Come arrest me." And so he took a stand. He may have gotten arrested. He may have gotten fined. They didn't, but he took, and if his plant does well, he'll be given a thumbs up for doing what he done. If his plant all of a sudden gets a whole bunch of infections, there'll be thumbs down. Right. So he's rolled the dice, and he stuck his stake in the ground, and that's where it is. So
Well, I mean, that's a reflection of what the whole country's doing right now.
Right.
We're rolling the dice that we can do this rollout or reopening safely, and we won't see a big spike in cases. But the jury's out.
Jury's out.
I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. I don't know that summer is going to suppress this thing.
So we can only hope, based on what's happening in Florida and other places, that those models follow through. We just can only knock on wood. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a virologist. I'm just some dude.
We don't know.
And I'm approaching start of week 10 because we're locked down here in Michigan.
I'm wearing a mask when I'm around other people outside. That's as simple
I'm
as
tell
it
you,
is.
they're not doing that here where I live. I can just tell you that. And again,
I've got an N95 mask, so I'm good.
And matter of fact, okay, so don't freak out, and wear your social distance by 2,000-3,000 miles, whatever it is here, Rob. You're not the same
I'm
room.
gonna cough on you, Todd.
Yesterday, I went to a restaurant,
right,
and sat down, and got served a beautiful, fantastic Mexican meal in a restaurant in Angola, Indiana.
Wow.
They were at 1/3 capacity. And I was looking, it was like there was like 2 tables of separation between each. It wasn't 1 table of separation, it was 2 tables of separation.
So is it like 8 or 9 feet between tables or something? Or
yeah, 6? At least. So if there was 40 tables in the business, they may have been able to seat 13 with their layout. And they turned and burned us. We got in, we got out. Guy was wearing a mask. We weren't wearing a mask. We sat as a group together, 5 of us sat together at a table together. Everything, like, no more wicker baskets, came in a steel bowl. So it was a great meal. And when they had hand sanitizer on the way in and when you went out, and so we went in and we actually saw some friends and waved and didn't go talk to them, but just hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. And in and out. So to me, it was the best night in about a month.
So did they throw the food at you like I've seen in videos on Facebook?
No, no. But the staff was wearing plastic gloves and a mask, and so anyway, so the country is opening up, and we'll see how this happens little by little. Michigan, you can't go in and sit down, but I was able to go 7 miles south of where I'm sitting right now and sit down at a restaurant. So that's even more crazy stuff. We're officially locked down at the end of the month, but Indiana's opened up, and so there was a lot of Michigan plates in that parking lot too. All the stores are opened up. Everything's open. All the stores. You can go shopping anywhere. Which it should have been to begin with. Walmart could be open. Everyone else should be open. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a virologist. But let's get back to content.
Right.
Yeah, this is horrible what's happened to podcasts.
Yeah.
I'd be losing my mind.
I don't know what they can do to fix it and why they were singled out.
I don't know either.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Either the person at Google didn't really understand what that app did.
Again, it had to be some show that got reported and some piece of content, and
that's a pretty drastic move.
Pretty drastic move for a podcast app.
Right.
If we have any Google people listening, we may, reach out to the people of the Google Podcast Store the Google Play Store
for apps,
and ask that team over there, WTF. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Doesn't. So I saw that Spotify is going to be creating local related playlists of music and podcasts. So
local.
I thought that was interesting.
Not too many shows are local.
Well, if you think about it, Todd, I think there's going to be a lot of radio stations that go out of business.
Well, based on our conversation from Wednesday.
Right. Maybe there's an opportunity now finally for podcasting to find some traction to delivering local content, because radio stations some of them are going to be going away.
So if you didn't listen to Wednesday's show, you want to go back and listen to it. About the 30-minute mark, we had Matt Kundle came in.
Right.
And Matt is well-versed on what's going on in the radio space, and we spent 45 minutes or so talking with him about the radio. Matter of fact, I changed the title of the show based on the discussion with Matt. So it was a good episode, and should make you sit back and go,
Yeah.
But it is curious. I know what I was going to bring up. So this, I don't know if I can say who. Better not. Had a conversation Friday with a major player in the space that wanted to talk to me about podcaster liability.
Okay.
You, Rob, know who I might be referring to? Probably not.
Mm-mm.
So the conversation I had was...
What, slander? That kind of stuff?
So just think about this for a second.
Slander or music?
So let's use music as an example.
Okay.
How's the? I have to be careful. Well, let's just slander in general. If you're a podcaster and you slander someone, and you make a direct threat that, let's just say that some name is a child molester. Let's say you say that.
Right.
If you say it that way, you can be sued into oblivion. And you have to prove that that person is a child molester. Now,
unless they're a public figure, right?
Even then, you better have some proof, right?
Right.
Now, if you say some name, I believe, and I personally think they are a child molester, that's my personal opinion, you are still not out of the woods, but it's your opinion.
Right.
And it depends on the context around that. And again, I'm not a lawyer. You can get sued for anything, but how you say stuff does matter.
Isn't the Senate, Todd, looking at trying to pass some legislation right now to limit the liabilities that companies have to anything related to COVID?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Yeah, well, for our companies, let companies open up, and if an employee gets Rona.
Right.
So let's go back to my example. So I've looked into insurance for Geek News Central and my property here, New Media Productions. I've looked at that, and it's about $2,000 a year. It's a policy that is normally written for people that are journalists, people that are writing articles for blogs, book writers, that kind of stuff. It's about $2,000. Mm-hmm. It's not inexpensive at all. And for a period of time, when I was doing some stuff that was related to stuff that was going, some activist stuff I was working on, in another situation a few years ago, I got some insurance because I was really pushing hard and I was being very careful how I spoke. And I was, again, expressing my opinion, but that doesn't stop someone from getting pissed off and hiring a lawyer and you're $10,000 in before you get a case dismissed. So this company is looking at helping to facilitate libel insurance for content creators.
Right.
I think what you will start seeing potentially in the future is that if you want to have a close relationship with, let's say, a company, and let's say that relationship is going to involve the exchange of dollars,
right,
you're going to have some sort of liability insurance in place in order to have a relationship with them.
Right.
Now, what do you think, Rob, would be a dollar amount? Let's say you're going to get $250,000 in protection. And just like car insurance, your deductible would be $500. How much do you think that should cost you a year? What for a podcast like yours and mine, if we were to go out and get that insurance, what would you expect us? What do you think would be reasonable to pay for that? For the show like this?
On an annual basis?
Yeah, on an annual basis.
Maybe $200 or $300, something like that, probably.
Not going to get it at 200 or 300.
Really?
So what if it was between 500 and 1,000?
You're not going to find very many people doing it.
Could you find at $1,000? Could you find 300 shows in the podcasting space that would do it?
I don't think so.
So
it depends on the show format.
That's true. But what if you had to have insurance to be on a platform?
You have to get it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not an unreasonable thing to get. I know businesses have been getting liability insurance for forever,
I have.
For things similar to this, right? So it's not an unusual request. I mean, it's usually general liability. Oftentimes those policies are pretty restrictive in what they actually cover, though.
Yeah.
And that's where I would have a lot of questions. Is, well, what does it really cover?
What does it cover? Yeah. What does the policy give you?
Right.
If you had a higher deduction, now there's been some things I've said over the years where an episode has went out and I went, and
there's been times, that we say things on this show that sometimes I wonder about, But
I usually, usually it's prefaced in my opinion or my, I don't think I directly. Again, you have to. It's how you phrase it, and
right.
Again, but they still can sue you.
Well, anybody can really sue you for anything at any time. So it's just whether or not it can be proved in court.
So Douglas Reed in the chat room, it says, we, Podcast Moving, has had conversation with the major podcast distribution platforms that want podcasts to carry E&O insurance, especially if they have music. So you could kind of understand that if someone's carrying music on there. What's happening now is and again, I don't want to name a name because if I name one of them, people are going to be, talking about this on the show. But let's say you're a big name distribution network,
right? And
we play AC/DC in this podcast. I don't know why AC/DC. It's one Douglas is laughing already. I play AC/DC in this podcast, and then the distribution network gets sued because they've allowed an unauthorized piece of content, unlicensed content to go on their system. So not only does the platform get sued, we will get sued. It's a double whammy.
Right.
So you can understand why a major distribution platform, which is getting sued left and right now anyway, because as an example, I could hypothetically, someone could come to me, some major artists could say, Todd, we want you to create a podcast and we want you to put 3 songs of my content in this podcast. And we want you to publish that. And then we're going to go find out who took it and who didn't take it down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sue the living beep out of those companies. And we're just going to make sure that and this happens. This type of activity happens. So, I'm not saying that is happening today, but it could.
Yeah, anything like that's possible. You're right.
So would you blame
conniving somebody is?
Yeah, would you blame? Oh, there's been plenty of conniving when it comes to RIAA and all that stuff. Right. So can you? And Douglas said that's errors and omissions.
Right.
And I don't even think that covers libel or anything else. So you understand why the policy. And it came from Lloyd's of London, and it cost me $2,000 for a year's worth of that coverage. And by the way, you can't get insurance today. It covers you something yesterday. It's content here forward. It's like or within the policy limit. It's, that those policies are very distinctly, listen, if you put something out 6 months ago, you go, ooh, I think I better cover myself. Well, usually those policies don't cover something in the past. So I'd be curious to hear what it's just like, you can't call the insurance company when you've already wrecked the car. Hey, by the way, I need up my, replacement value.
Isn't that a pre-existing condition?
Well, it kind of is, but yeah. So that's a question, how much will podcasters pay?
Well,
Go ahead.
Here's a quick definition of errors and omission insurance. It says a type of professional liability insurance that protects companies, their workers, and other professionals against claims of inadequate work or negligent action.
Most movies, most music producers, most of all those folks already have that type of insurance in the regular world. If a major distribution hub goes and says, I want to have your label on my platform, or the vice versa, and they're going to say, okay, have you got insurance? And yes, and you share information, and that way if all of a sudden it's found out you really didn't have the rights to that content, and you get sued, they just go, oh, well, we're going to invoke our rights to be able to tap into your insurance policy. Right.
It doesn't appear that the errors and omissions insurance would cover this type of thing. I think it's more around work.
Yeah, Doug says
related.
He says it's for copyright violation. So probably specifically E&O for copyright violation. So, so don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, that within
this is coming down the pike.
This is coming. Right? Yeah, this is coming down the pike. And again, it's not. Podcasting is becoming more mainstream. It's going to have to follow some of the more mainstream rules and distribution if you want to be on certain platforms. And I go back. Again,
what's happening, Todd, right now is we're becoming mainstreamed fast.
Right, mainstream fast.
Right.
And I don't want to slow roll this kind of stuff. Well, maybe I do. But I get to the point where I get worried about haves and have-not.
Right.
You got indie. If you're just doing an indie show and you want to be on platform Z, and you can't be on platform Z unless you have insurance, it's a matter of have or have not.
Right.
But if we can get the price down, it's economy of scale. If we get 10,000 or 15,000 podcasters to participate, then the price does come down to $250 or $300 a year.
Right.
Because so how it works with some insurance writer is they say, okay, we think we're going to have 5 instances of lawsuits a year, and we're going to cover up to 1.25 million. So if I get 5 of those and they max out at 1.25 million, I need to bring in, as a matter of a company, I need to bring in 1.3, 1.5, just as a matter of covering, having enough money to pay against claims. So there has to be a minimum number of people that are participating. So that, if there's 300 that participate and they think there's going to be, less than 1% of a claim. So,
Todd, is this a type of a service or that platforms like ours can offer across their networks?
If it goes well, we'll all offer the same thing.
Right. Yep.
If it goes well, we'll all be able to offer this as a option.
It's part of the,
Well, they would have
option. It's basically an option.
It's an option.
Each account.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Someone could add on, and again, if you have 5 shows, well, do you get a discount? You have to have 5 policies, or do you have to have one covers everything? I think it basically probably is how you have your business set up. if you have a
Yeah.
business set up.
Yeah.
If you're a sole proprietor, you have 5, again, I don't know. It all's in the language of how so again, just discussions.
Yeah.
And 250,000 is usually not enough. That's another thing too. You can burn through $250,000 on a lawsuit, and half that will go to lawyers' fees sometimes. So, most of those types of insurance policies are like 2.5 million.
Yeah.
So then you get into real dollars.
Right.
But anyway, we could see this coming.
Right.
And again, early discussions, but again, I can't speak for any platform, but potentially you have to have, maybe something's going to be required down the road. And guess what? If you don't want the insurance, you're just not on the platform.
Yeah.
But it's all about, because we're becoming mainstream.
Todd, did I see it right that Captivate is now, or Rebel-based media is now IAB V2 certified?
I don't think I saw that.
I think I saw that in Pod News. Let's see.
Oh, I did. I missed it.
Podcast hosts Captivate have added unique listeners to their analytics calculated to the IAB V2 standard. They highlight
calculated to, not that they are.
That's right. It doesn't say that they're certified.
Right.
Okay.
And
they're stating that they're compliant.
And they came up with a unique listener metric is what they came up with, probably according to the listener metric in the IAB standard.
Yeah, which is what we've been all doing for a while now.
Yeah.
So you participated in the Outlier Podcast virtual
I did.
Summit.
Yep.
Yesterday, right?
Yeah, and I think there was about 40 in my session. I was the first one in the morning. It was on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I love I love presenting online. I just don't like audience interaction online, because what I had the PowerPoint screen full screened, because that's the only way I could get it to show correctly on Zoom. So I couldn't watch the comments coming in a separate window at all. Therein lies the problem, is you're not, the way these platforms need to work is I need on Zoom, hey Zoom, if you're listening, I want to be able to just highlight a certain portion of my page to show on the screen and then be able to see comments. I think that was I think StreamYard solves that better than Zoom does. So I got done. 78 slides, 45 minutes, fast-fired, hard-hitting. If you want to listen to the presentation, it's in this week's Podcast Insider, podcastinsider.com. That's the official podcast of Blueberry.
Mm-hmm.
We replaced an interview with my 40 minutes of ranting.
Mm-hmm.
But it did get some good questions at the end. Have had a dozen or so people ask for the presentation. I've emailed that off.
That's good.
So it still was not, it's not the same. Excuse me. How was your guys' presentation on the other one? Did you guys get interactivity?
The NAB? On the NAB?
No. Didn't you guys speak at We Are Something, one of your team members?
That's coming up towards the end of the month here.
All right.
I think it's like a week away.
All right.
Yeah. So it's coming up. Yeah. And we're, Lipson is sponsoring that event now. So we're going to be really actively involved in and participating in that. So we're gambling on these virtual events more and more. So, I mean, I think that there was a lot of skepticism about them just, a month ago.
Well, I think body count wise, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But
does that mean that they need to be done differently than how they've been being done?
How can they, they start at 11, so that would be an 8 a.m. start for the West Coast. And they went about 10 hours. But the question really is how you get a spot to speak and you hope people show up. And if you're promoting it on your social, who's going to show up? People that are already customers. I don't go to events I go to events to meet my customers and say,
Right.
how you doing? Is there anything we can answer for you? But I sponsor events and go to events to get new customers. We both do.
Right.
And to wave the flag, right?
You know, we're going to see how quickly events come back. There's not a lot of, I don't know, Todd, what do you think? Do you think these real world events are going to make a comeback, strong comeback?
Yeah, I'm 75% sure podcast movement will happen. Just in my own brain. They're 50-50, or I think they're 50-50, or they don't know.
And if they do, are they going to get 3,000 people show up?
Nope.
Or are they going to get
No,
1,500 people show up?
No, they're not going to get 3,000.
Right.
They might.
So,
we all might be so starved for interaction at that point. Well, already people are,
right.
There's either going to be a lot of divorces or a lot of babies. Or a lot of people that aren't married that are going to be getting married that are lonely.
Right.
Or there's going to be a bunch of alcoholics or a bunch of fat people, because
people are just sitting around all the time.
Yeah, I haven't got 1/10 of the exercise I need to get. It's not because it's because I've been lazy. I work all day and I come home exhausted, brain exhausted. I'm not physically, it's just like my body just kind of follows along.
Spent a lot of time. I was thinking about this the other day too. I spent a lot of time traveling, going to the airport, catching trains and buses and Ubers and all sorts, and that all burns calories.
Yeah.
And you're just not doing that as much, or standing on exhibit show floors for, 10 hours a day, every day, and walking around meeting people, and that builds up your endurance and keeps your muscles strong. And there's a lot of compromises that are happening right now. I know in my life, my life's changed a lot.
Sorry.
Well, and I think I wanted to mention too, I'm on the board of the Podcast Academy as well, and they're continuing to have meetings and organizational stuff, and there's probably going to be stuff coming out here in June is where you're going to start seeing things start to happen with the organization. I haven't said this before, but they did vote me as chairperson of the organization.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
So, wow! Congratulations. So, you're the Rob. Sorry.
I know. I'm gonna do the best I can, though, Todd.
Oh my goodness! So you're the top dog over at that. Okay.
Well, I mean, everybody that was involved in that is still involved. Nobody's
right. I
mean, that's not changing. It's just
you're quite the politician.
Am I now?
Well,
I'm not announcing anything here other than just to say that I'm on the board and that I'm now going to be running the meetings and doing some activities around education for the academy. So.
Oh my God! I'm happy for you. That means because what that means that means is you have less time to focus on Libsyn. That's fantastic.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I can't say that. No, it's all going to be So anyway, it just means that I think my role in the industry has always been is to bring people together.
So now you've got a big challenge because So all right, Rob. So I'm going to put it to you. Who's the indie podcasters that are on the committee?
Who's the indie?
Who's the indie?
Well, there's many of them that started out as indie, but then they got associated with networks.
So who are the indie podcasters on the committee? Okay.
Currently, it depends on how you define indie, Todd.
Indie is indie. We know who indie is.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to be inclusive, Todd. I'm not trying to draw divisions here.
Well, there is division. So who are the?
I know there is.
So who's the indies that are on the committee? Okay, so you have some
Alex Albright
What show does he? What network does he run?
That's was it it's the Tinder TV or something like that. The true crime.
Oh, so is he really an indie? He's a.
That's how he started out. That's how he started out.
All right. Well, again.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a very popular, true crime kind of podcast.
Okay. So you know where I'm going here.
I know.
Okay.
Well, Todd, change from the inside.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Right.
Because now you're the one who gets to be held accountable, and we get to. We'll be talking about you.
Well, I think that the board is very, very sensitive to this topic. So.
Okay. Well, you're in charge of the board.
I think it's indicative of them asking me to kind of lead the organization too.
All right. Okay.
So I'm gonna do the best I can to bring people together here, Todd.
I know
too much division in the world right now.
I know you will, but
yes.
I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire.
I know you will. I totally expect that. So.
Well, congratulations anyway. So
right,
I knew you were going to be on the board. I didn't know you were aspiring to lead.
I didn't aspire anywhere. I was just showing up.
Oh, so hey, by the way, so I here's a commercial break for you. So
I need one, Todd, right now.
Oh, you do, because you're getting a little warm, is it? So James Cridland said in Twitter, everyone's home, but with no radios. And he's quoting a thing from Amplify Media. And
right.
and my response was, LOL, radio, what's that? Well, that triggered that triggered James. He said, radio? Oh, it's a thing with 9 out of 10 people listening every week. Like podcasting, but 5 times more popular.
Oh,
so he hashtagged it, pointless oh my God, pointless degeneration. Big enough for both of us. We don't need any enemy. So that's what he posted in his Twitter feed. And my response was, stop listening to radio almost 14 years ago. My kids stopped many years ago, but listen to Pandora, Spotify. Radio has maybe 20 years left. Maybe Rona has taught them that they need to be more diverse than drive. So that was my response.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this topic a lot in last week's show.
So he obviously hasn't been listening, but I triggered him just a little bit there if I say LOL, radio, what's that? Now, let's just be honest. With radio, yes, we've got 10 to 20 years left. But my kids, okay, I'm 55. My oldest is 30, around 30-ish, and my youngest is 16, and they don't listen to radio. They do not listen to radio. My 30-year-old, when I was down there, what does she do? She gets in the car, Bluetooth, Spotify.
I mean, it's a generational shift. I think I've been saying that for years.
So I would say 30 and older probably still listen to radio a little bit.
Right.
If you have a new car, which most 30 years and younger, 30 years and younger, maybe they don't have a brand new car. Maybe they got a used car.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on where they're in their stage of the workplace and, what rewards they've given, how much money they've saved. So a portion of that under 30 group will have a brand new vehicle. Maybe not a luxury vehicle. Many will. And again, I'm kind of generalizing here. But still, most of those cars will have Bluetooth.
Right.
So...
yeah. Right.
Anyway, I think,
and more data is being built into cars. But I'm gonna go back and say this again. You look long term. I think fewer and fewer people are going to own cars.
Depends on where you live. If you live in a major metropolitan area, yeah.
But and also, I mean, it begs another question. I'm hearing a lot of people say that people are moving out of the cities.
Well, then they're going to need a car.
Right. Exactly. That's true. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hearing that people are moving out of the cities because of this COVID thing, because of density is what causes more exposure, right? At least that's kind of
at least what it looks like in New York. Yeah. Looks
Right,
like
or
people were getting sick right in their own building, staying home, and the air circulation was getting them.
right in the areas of the country. Sure, there's hot spots around the
Right.
country that are like in meat plants or where people are working really close together. But generally, where the hotspots are is where the dense population centers are.
Yeah.
So does that mean that long term, people are going to start moving out of the cities, which means cars are going to be important again?
Yeah.
More and more. But I do like it, Todd, that we lost a lot of our air pollution over the last month. Did you see a lot of the pictures around the world?
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Yeah, right.
So it just shows you Mother Earth heals herself pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, you've got deer running in suburbia right now, you know, and animals are moving into the, you know, into the cities. So I think that, you know, I think going back to how media is being consumed, I just, again, I remain completely bullish on podcasting. And, you know, so what am I become more bullish on? YouTube. I'm watching more YouTube. So I think it's a good time to be a YouTuber. TikTok, you know, a lot of people are on TikTok. That's how they're staying entertained. Some of these new platforms that are out there. I cannot hardly handle to be on Facebook right now. I get on Facebook and I just get pissed off. So the same thing with mainstream media. I just watch mainstream media and I get pissed off or my anxiety goes up. So what am I going to? I'm going to stuff that's funny. I don't want to hear the same depressing beep. You know, it's been enough. It's been pounded into us for 9 weeks now. Personally, why am I watching sailboating YouTube videos? Because all of a sudden, because we're all locked down and now we want to be out, right? So my brain is saying, I need to get out. And these sailboat people have freedom. They're just out in the middle of the water somewhere. Although I can imagine kind of bored sometimes, but at least they're able to do something to stay busy.
So did you see the article that was posted by Paul Colligan about video podcasting?
I did.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean, I think it's true. I mean, all these people are creating Zoom meetings and shows on Zoom or StreamYard or whatever could make podcasts out of them.
We are ahead of the curve.
Right.
Yeah. So for those of you that want to recreate something like this, it's really not that much hard work. There's not that much money. You can segment off a bedroom and create something like this, what I have here. You look what Rob's done. You know, Rob's a work in progress. For years, we were just in one of Rob's rooms, but now he's decorated a little bit, added some lighting. So he'll get that dialed in over time. Right. But, you know, I use examples like Leo Laporte. You can use this set's example. This set was derived from stuff that Leo came up with. I copied some of the stuff, you know, it has my own flair.
Right.
And matter of fact, if you want to help with flair, we'll change out the directions, the decorations behind us. We will take prop donations on loan. You want to loan us something to put in the back of the scene? We'll put it up there for a season or for 90 days or something, send it back to you. So you got a prop you think would be good for the back shelf? Let me know.
And you can do video podcasts. You know, Todd supports video, Libsyn supports video, Apple supports video, and it was announced that Spotify is going to support video too. So, you know, who knows? Maybe start video podcasting. Now, granted, it is more expensive to do that, but it's possible.
Why did we do? Okay, so I did podcast. Let's go back to show episode 670 of Geek News Central. That was right around the time I started video podcasting.
Yep.
I was doing a solo show at 8 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. And there was nobody else online. It was like really boring. I mean, to the point where I was like, yeah, and many of you feel this. You're talking to the mic by yourself. That's why so many of you have co-hosts. But as a solo show, doing that show, I got the point like, I would really love to have some audience interaction. So that's the reason I was experimenting with video because I wanted to know what it would take to do it. But be honest with you, it really was about having some audience participation. Now, my audience at that time was out of Australia and New Zealand. They were the only people that were awake because 11 o'clock,
because of the time zones.
Because of 11 o'clock in California, 2 o'clock in the morning. There was some hardcore night owls that were staying up with me watching a tech show from the East Coast, which I always thought was pretty incredible. So I did it for the interaction. So I would suggest if you're going to do video, do live.
Right. And just record it.
And record it. Yeah. Doug says, what camera are you using? Mine are about 10 years old. I am using an NDI HX PTZ camera for this shot. Not an expensive camera, but you can get the same type of quality here if you've got a DSLR. You can use a DSLR for your, if you have a Canon 60D, something that you can plug an HDMI cable in and you can do video. A DSLR works fantastic. As a matter of fact, what I like about a DSLR is you can get the lens, whatever lens you want, to get the right spread, and then
that's a fairly expensive choice, though.
That's an expensive choice, but a lot of people have DSLRs. So if you have a DSLR, it can dual head as your camera for your show. The second option is are some camcorders. Yeah, camcorders. And really, that's what this is. This is a camcorder lens in a PTZ body. Now, if you're going to do multi-shots, I'm going to show you what happens when you have mismatch cameras. Now, if you're watching, watch closely. So watch the color of my shirt. So I'm going to go to camera 3, which is from Data Video. It's not an NDI. So first of all, let me go to camera 1. A little bit different on the shirt color. It's pretty close because it's a little different angle of the camera, so you would expect that to be pretty close. But let me go to camera shot 3. Completely different color.
Yeah, it's darker too.
Because it's not the same camera.
Right. Each camera or webcam is going to be different.
A little different. So if you can do them more than one, use 2 cameras of the same type. And if I change my angle,
do you really need to have 3 cameras?
No.
Because you really only use this camera.
Mostly, yeah. Sometimes I go to this shot, but mostly it's mostly a single shot. Yeah. Mostly, yeah.
But you have a pretty expensive setup there. You're using a TriCaster.
That's right. But you don't have to use a TriCaster. You can use StreamYard for, the challenge.
Just get some capture cards that you can go from HDMI to USB 3.
Yep, USB.
Right.
Yep. So, and they've even if you got a desktop, they've got cards that you can stick in your machine to plug HDMI in directly. Those are pretty expensive, but you can have 3. And another thing too, the more cameras you add, the more horsepower you need of the streaming software you're using.
Well, your CPU needs to be a little stronger,
right?
More RAM too.
Yeah, yeah. StreamYard is pretty forgiving. It uses the browser. They do a pretty incredible job. But you're not, I feed StreamYard a single input. You can't do multiple camera inputs to StreamYard, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's lots of, I'm using, if I had to rebuild this whole studio, there's no way I would use a TriCaster. Not today.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of free options out there. Or more expensive ones. The TriCaster is not a... Go ahead.
Those HDMI capture cards, they sure vary wildly in price.
Yep.
It's really, I mean I've seen some that are like $49, $39. I've seen other ones that are like $700.
Try the $49 one first, but make sure it's make sure it's HDMI to USB.
Right.
Read carefully. Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's a HDMI to USB that's all that does is give you another monitor. It's not doesn't feed. It just allows you to have another monitor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be careful with this stuff. Plus I've also read that the video quality can be degraded in that conversion process.
Start as cheap as you can and buy it on Amazon. If you don't like it, send it back.
Right.
But I would probably spend, if I was going to buy new cameras, I really love the Canons. I love the Canons a lot. Matter of fact, that's what is used in the green screen room is a Canon, and I have but those are not cheap cameras either. Those cameras are run about $1,000 a piece. They are a prosumer camcorder.
Right.
But you don't have to go that high. Probably a couple $100 at least, maybe $250 for a good
I think
camcorder.
that the newer cameras now that are out are certainly a higher quality. I think with the cameras that you have are probably 4 or 5 years old, probably.
These ones in front of me are about 2.5 years old, but they were $2,700 a piece.
Yeah.
This camera here that I don't use very much, it was $2,000.
Right.
I've got a camera over there that's on a single shot for the demo room. That camera, oh my God, that's a Sony Pro, that's not a prosumer, that's a pro camera. That was when you can buy, it still costs like $3,000 today to buy it used. So it was a lot of money. But you don't need to spend that kind of money. You don't. You just, you're using a
it's like a $39 Logitech C920.
Yeah. And really the key is Rob needs to basically I told him before we started the show that Rob needs to get that white balance. Now you're not on a Mac, so you should be able to have the software that goes along with that camera to white balance that. So Rob, you need to get a card that, let's see, do I have it sitting here?
Well, I am running the Logitech camera setup software, and it doesn't appear to have a white balance setting on it.
If it doesn't,
I can try it. Yeah.
You need to get one of these.
Right.
And
just a white sheet of paper will do it.
Yeah, it'll work. White sheet of paper will work.
Right.
This isn't as white as a white. This isn't as white as a white sheet of paper, though.
Right.
So. And your lights though too. See that you notice since I moved my camera balance, I've got these set up to auto white balance. So I'm running 5600K on my lights. So that's another thing too, is if you buy some LED lights, some of them have the ability to go from
I have these all set to 5600 right now.
So
yeah,
everything in here is at 5600. And actually with all the way the studio is set up and the reflection, I actually get about 5400 Kelvin out of the. And basically what 5600K means for any of you that are like, what the hell is he talking about? It's like being outside in the daylight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a difference between the old yellow bulbs and a white bulb.
Yeah, it's like a soft white
kind
of coloration.
So what in your room, Rob, I don't know if that's an LED light or a regular light bulb behind you. On your cabinet?
Oh, that's I believe that's an incandescent, so it's a soft white.
So if you would buy a 5600, they sell light bulbs that are right at 5600 too. They're more expensive.
Right. They're usually the LED lights. Right?
Yeah. In this studio, I have fluorescents that I paid. Well, I could have bought bulbs that were like $80 a piece, but I found fluorescent bulbs at 5400 Kelvin or 5500 Kelvin that were like $80 for a box. They had to special order them, but I actually they're not turned on. But when I do turn them on, my fluorescent lights are even white as well. Or it's close to 5600 as I could get it. And again, maybe you don't want it. Maybe you want some ambiance. Maybe you want to look like you're in a cave or something. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Eileen says, yes, some of the Logitech cams have the white balance options. If not, there's an app you can install called Webcam Settings. Well, that's for Mac. But yeah, those of you Mac users, you can't white balance on nothing. So you got to have this app called Webcam Settings. Thanks, Eileen, for that. I appreciate it. And Doug, even if your cameras are about 10 years old, as long as you got good lighting, they should be fine. You don't have to go out and buy new cameras. Handy cams that we had that are 10 years old, the difference in quality is going to be minute. As long as they have as long as they get you 16:9 out. If they're really old, they're they're basically SD. They're not HD.
Right. One of the reasons why I would consider getting one of these camcorders as a replacement for my webcam is that it just has a bigger aperture, which means
Right.
it does better color balance and better color absorption into the video because it's got a bigger lens.
My sensor's about that big around on the PTZs.
Mine's like a
dot.
pinhead.
Yeah, it's a pinhead. Yep.
Right.
And that's what you're really paying for. The guts of the cameras are the same. You're paying for that bigger
lens.
aperture lens. Yep.
Right.
Now, the challenge I have in this room, in all honesty, is I wish the cameras were about 3 feet more back. I wish they were back a little further because it's really hard. This actual lineup was very painful to get because literally my camera is at the end of it's right at my hand. My fingers are literally 3 inches from that lens. So my cameras are close. All of them, right? They're right there.
Yeah. I'm not very far from my camera either. I'm probably maybe 2 feet.
So the goal is
it's like right. I mean, I'm not even extending my arm.
Right.
It's right there.
When you back the cameras up a little bit, then you can use the zoom. You can get the zoom where you need it to be.
Right.
Yeah. So.
it is an art right now, and I think that more podcasters need to. Really, I think making your home office a studio, I think, is a really smart business move right now.
And it's easy if you're in an office.
Right. All these broadcasters, all these major broadcasters are doing it from home, and I continue to see a lot of professional people that are just not representing themselves very well in online video. So. It's not that difficult. Like Todd said, it's not that difficult to get it set up, but it does take some effort.
Now, just go back into some of my videos when I was in Hawaii, not necessarily this show, but my evening show. I had all the windows in that. We didn't have AC. And sometimes I would cook. The sweat would be running down my forehead because it'd be 100 degrees in the studio. But I had windows open in the room. And if you can't afford AC and there's no reason oftentimes you're going to have to turn the air conditioning off anyway because you're getting, you can hear the air conditioning running. That's my problem when I'm in hotel rooms. I often have to shut the AC off to do the show. Here in this studio, I have not had a season yet where I've had to have the AC running continuously. So we'll see how that goes when we get the AC because I've got central air in here. But I'm blessed now because I can, and there's no kids running around. No kids fighting, and that's something you have to decide in your house. It's just like bandwidth. I used to, tell them 15 minutes before showtime.
Right.
And I would warn them, no head-to-head gaming. That I would force them to go into just doing gaming with nothing that was interactive on the internet. And I could tell. I'd be doing the show and all of a sudden the stream would start lagging. I'd get pissed. And I had to hit the mute button and scream at my kids to quit the gaming because they were using all the bandwidth. So, if you're going to do live video, you're going to have to tell the kids to quit doing head-to-head. They don't have to stop they still watch Netflix because your issue is the push, not the pull. So, they can still watch movies, but you got to cut that two-way traffic down while you're doing the podcast.
Right.
And I knock on wood here. I'm really, today we're pushing. Let me look what we're pushing right now on this. And I upped it. So, because I just did it recently, we're pushing 4.5K right now, times 2. So I'm pushing 9 megs up. One going to YouTube, one going to Wowza. And we were running 3.5, 3.6 a month ago. So I pushed the bandwidth up. And plus I have the live stream going, which is pushing another 1.6, and I've got max of 20 here. So that's another thing too. If you pick your live time, if you're going to do live in your house and you're going to do live at 8 p.m., you need to do some test runs because you're sharing all that gaming activity with your entire neighborhood on your node. Business offices are supposed to have dedicated connectivity. I'm supposed to have 20 I'm not sharing with anyone. I don't believe it. But your house connection is sharing with neighbors on that upload. So you may run into trouble. You may not be able to run as much bandwidth up. But if you do it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock at night, maybe when that's something, and again, it depends on when you want to live stream.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if I read this.
Else?
Eileen says if you have a Brio, which is my webcam, Logitech has a special app, but lots of folks complain that the color is off. Yeah, even I'm looking at this shirt and I'm looking at this is maybe just a little dark, and I haven't white balanced the cameras I'm using right now for about every 2 weeks. So here's another thing you got to get used to too. If you're thinking about doing video, as the cameras heat up, the color changes. So you want to make sure if you are going to white balance your camera, that your camera has been on collecting video. And if for like your case, Rob, make sure you just turn it on and make sure it's showing on the screen. Let it run 20, 25 minutes and then white balance it. Because what will happen is that camera gets cold, and then as it heats up, its dynamics change. So that's why television studios and stuff, they rarely shut their cameras off. They're on all the time, maybe in a standby mode, but the guts are warmed up. And that way when they come on, like I can go to a white balance here. I could do a white balance right while we're live, and it would change the color. But yeah, don't white balance.
So when you do that, you have to fire up all your lights and stuff so the camera gets used to,
you have to. You need to white balance it in the normal mode. So, well, we can do it right here. Let me grab my little board.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to white balance where your focal point is going to be. Try not to tilt it too much. Now I'll go over here and get on the TriCaster. And so I'm going to grab the white balance button. You notice the color just changed a little bit. Now
I'm seeing a little bit of a green tinge.
So now, I just white balance that camera just that quick.
Right.
So when I held it to drag it over, the color changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can actually go in, and if I need to, I can adjust the brightness. So I'm set at -8 now, so I can go way high. I can see how bright it's getting, and then I can and I can go the other way. I can go dark. So you can set go back to where I was, because I've professionally eyeballed this. And I can change the hue, the contrast, and the saturation. So right now, on a color balance, and those of you that color with, I'm running a 201, 215, 208. So what does that mean? Well, if I get one camera exactly right, where I want it to be, I can go over to another like-minded camera and change that to 201, 215, 208, and it's supposed to match the color.
Yeah.
Supposed to.
It doesn't always actually do that.
Quite, yeah.
It depends on the color, right, that it's trying to represent.
Yeah.
Because it does have a color range.
And if I want to get real fancy, this has got a system where I can actually look at a menu, and it will show me the histogram of true color. So it basically brings up a histogram of all the shades the camera picks, and it's kind of weird. If you can rotate that and get in the middle, that's actually supposed to be as close to true as possible. But I just eyeball it. So we've been talking about stuff that people that are listening are like, they don't even can't see it. But
yeah, well, that's
you know what? We're already an hour 30. What did we talk about?
We just talked about some news headlines and that kind of stuff. And I mentioned a few things that are new.
Yeah. I think we already talked about them winding down the Google Play podcast listing. We already covered that.
I would say that the big big thing that came out of the show is what's going on with Podcast Addict, right? Getting pulled down off of the Google Play Store.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, again, Todd's ranting about, have your own site. That way you don't have to worry about community guidelines.
Right.
So.
All right.
Well, here we are. Did you guys get enough? Those of you that are watching the live stream, did you get enough? If you did, I hope so. Let's see here. Yeah, we had a lot of people on
YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. We had more people on YouTube than we had on Facebook today. Said a couple of inputs. Todd, sensors that come from the production line back to back do not capture light the same. That's true. Danielle says the Avaya, AVAYA, IX Huddle HC020 is the only webcam I see in stock at B&H Photo. Hard to find webcams in stock anymore. That's true. So you may
have to get a camcorder.
You may have to get a camcorder. Brett Bell,
right.
Do I need makeup? Was that for me earlier on my shiny head?
Is that the next thing, Todd, that we're going to have to do? We're going to have to get makeup? Is that the next thing I have to powder my nose before every show?
Well, you've got the same glare thing going as I do, and I bought that anti-glare. It's kind of weird, and I was expecting something a little different.
Todd, some people wax their heads, I thought.
No. I don't need to be I don't need to be seen from the space station, from the International Space Station. Hey, I do want to mention, though, this is kind of unrelated to the show, but May 27th is a big deal. For those of you that have been watching the years roll by since we've had a space shuttle, had a U.S. lift capability to the International Space Station, the space shuttle has been retired a long time. But on May 27th, SpaceX is going to have the first crewed flight to take 2 crew members to the International Space Station. And I'm a bit of a geek, and this is a big deal. It'll be our return to we don't have to rent slots on the Soyuz anymore. So
probably a good thing given what's happening in the world right now, right?
So SpaceX is going to put 2 American astronauts in. They're only flying 2. This is okay. The only thing I'm concerned about, they call this a demo flight. How is a demo flight? It's demo.
You're actually flying
demo number 2. I'm like, okay,
sorry, guys. You guys are expendable.
Demo? They're calling it a demo flight. And I guess Elon Musk is we'll just call this one a demo. God forbid we blow them up, but it was a demo. It's true though. It's it's serious business putting Americans inside something. SpaceX has demonstrated their escape, and anything to do with rockets and fuel is, as we well know, we've lost a number of astronauts on reentry and on departure.
Todd, maybe they're clones or androids or something, and they're just not telling us.
I need a clone. Someone. Hey, China, if you're in the clone business, I'll order 2.
Think about how productive you could be if we cloned Todd. If there was 2 Todds, could the world handle that? I don't know.
We would have to keep them locked up at night.
Because there'd be the good Todd and the bad Todd, right?
The
real Todd is in the middle.
Give them food and go to work. I think there would be no Todds left before it was all over. We'd kill each other.
Right,
anyway, I don't think the world could handle clones, to be honest with you, in all reality. But
that means that the real Todd could sleep in.
Oh, hell with that. Go on vacation, permanent vacation.
Right.
Make them eat crackers and soup. I take the rest of the money and go on vacation.
Hey, Todd, I heard, and this is just an anecdote, has really not a lot to do with podcasting, but it probably have a little bit. I heard that the Apple is going to be coming out with some glasses soon. Not right away, but here in the next year or 2 or a couple of years.
So I've got this cool thing in my room in the back. I flew to LA a number of years ago, And I went to this nondescript building in Los Angeles. Actually, it felt kind of, well, actually, it wasn't a shady area, but I went and got Google Glasses. They got fit. I had to go get them, instructed, walk around, ate lunch at the Google facility. And I paid for that pleasure to do that. You're going to have to really impress me to come up with some glasses that'll be functional. But, all the Apple fans are going to rush to buy them.
Well, I'm sure how these are going to work, it's going to probably connect to your watch, your Apple Watch, right? And it's going to drive, augmented reality experiences. And you may not have to carry around your iPhone anymore.
Okay. We'll see.
I don't know.
So meanwhile, I'm going to wrap the show up because I have plumber duty to do today. I've got to, I got to
have fun with that, Todd.
Yeah, I got to replace the guts of a toilet. So, that happens every 10 years on a toilet. So that's going to be fun.
That's a path to growing humble in your life.
So you take the tank off and replace the guts of the tank.
I've done it before.
Yeah,
yes.
It sucks. So
Yeah,
I've been putting it off for 2 months. I've got the kit sitting in there. I'm like, I better get that done.
All right.
Get
on it, Todd.
Yes. All right. Todd at Blueberry.com, at Geek News on Twitter. Of course, at Blueberry if you want to reach the Blueberry team. Rob?
I'm on Twitter as well, at Rob Greenlee, and that's with 2 E's. And if you want to send me an email, send it to robg@libsyn.com, and I'm happy to talk to you about podcasting. Absolutely.
So as we sign off to the chairman of the Podcast Academy, congratulations, Rob. All right, everyone. Okay. We'll see you next time here on the New Media Show. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.